Hey everybody, how you all doing tonight? Good. Fair enough. Just to introduce myself, my name is Sunit Kulkarni, but in case you can't pronounce that, you all can call me S-Unit. That's been a nickname since the third grade. Unfortunately, my rap career didn't exactly take off, so instead I've had to, been doing stuff in technology ever since then. And a little bit of background about myself, I graduated from Georgia Tech last year, both mechanical and electrical engineering, and then I recently just graduated out of the digital crafts program that I know Toby also came out. I see a few other graduates here as well. Congratulations that you all made it out through. And so what I'm going to get, so originally the intro said that I'll be talking about personal cybersecurity best practices. That's what I originally had planned, but then I was told it has to be JavaScript related. So I'm going to be talking about a security library called OpenPGP. And has anybody here at all played around with encrypted email of any type? All right, 3 people. All right, and so what essentially I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to implement encrypted email notifications. And where I got the idea of is essentially I'm trying to replicate one of Facebook's features in their advanced security settings. So if you go to your security and login screen, right in the advanced section, you can upload an PGP key. And what this will do is it will whenever you post something or anything that requires an email notification from Facebook, it'll encrypt the email to you, and therefore only you can decrypt it. Why this is useful for, let's say, if you have to do a password reset, only you can read that email and no other hacker can perhaps intercept that email and then do an account takeover. And I'm thinking Facebook, of all places, not exactly the most privacy-focused institution, is putting a nice privacy feature on. I'm thinking, well, many other apps should probably have this, especially financial institutions. So maybe we might cut down on phishing for logging and steal your bank account info for that matter. So I've attempted to replicate that feature here. And how I did so was I made this app called Emailing. Basically, I just simply copied this off of a really nice Udemy tutorial from this guy named Steve Grider. Essentially, it's an email marketing app of sorts that allow you to send campaigns and do email blasts. And I thought, let me add PGP encryption to that, or at least attempt to. It's like kind of half working, and I think and part of the issue is something with asynchronous handling, which hopefully Jonathan might be able to help me out with that later on. But just a little intro to this app. We're just going to log in, little login wall. Right over here we have a bunch of lists of email campaigns. And so so what I do essentially is add something to a campaign title. Let's just call it testing to the subject line, testing mail. Then I'll just put in my other throwaway email. Then from here you have a review, and then you can just simply send out the email. And then it gets listed as another one of your campaigns. And then, of course, you're able to get a email response from that. And now, this is where I'm going to attempt to bolt on encryption to that email. All right, cool, it went through. And this is not encrypted, because at least if any of you use Proton Mail, highly recommended as a great security practice. You see this black lock icon here. That means that the message came into the Proton Mail servers unencrypted, but then Proton Mail took your public key and just encrypted for you, so not even Proton Mail can read that email. But then if you want to have an encrypted email come in, what that will look like is it'll have a green icon at the end, and this is those encrypted Facebook notifications I was talking about that I was trying to replicate. And so in this application that I built, it's using quite a few things, using React, Redux for storing state, Express and Node, and MongoDB for the database of those email campaigns you all saw. So essentially, what we're doing to get that email is just simply this long string right here. And how to encrypt that is just simply encrypt that string and send off the encrypted string, and then Proton Mail or whatever system you have in the end, like Mailvelope, will decrypt it for you. I'm just simply handling the encryption part and not even touching the decryption part, as that might introduce a few other security holes. And so what I did there is I have all this other commented code right here, which I'm going to uncomment. So we do this right. I'm commenting out what we previously had. And what do I have here? Oh, oops. That should be perfect. So essentially what we're having here is that long string I had, I just simply stored it. Actually, can you all see that fine?
Yes.
Just that's a little bit more clear. So I just simply copied that massive string, stored it into a variable called file contents. Then from here, I'm using the OpenPGP JavaScript library to essentially encrypt that string. And where you're wondering, where's the key? Well, I stored it in this configuration file, that begin PGP public block. That's my PGP key for that marketing.kulkarni@protonmail email. That's going to be using that key to encrypt all of this string text that we originally saw in the email. And just a little tidbit where to find this. You can find this library at OpenPGP.js/js, and you go and do npm install OpenPGP. That's where to find this library. All right, so now that we've uncommented this, I'm going to go and redo the whole walkthrough for the React app. Encryption test. This is a secret. All right, so now you of course have the review form again. Now this is where, despite something that should be simple, oh just encrypt the string, you're just simply passing off another string. For some reason I haven't quite figured out how to get that working. I've actually tried to debug with my buddy Ralph over there. Highly recommend you talk with him if you need any other consulting services. He's your guy. He'll be going to Google in about 6 months or so. Is that right, Ralph? Perfect. And so what I did here is, since it's not quite sending the email, I'm just going to show that the encryption feature at least is working properly. So what I did there was, right in here, we're just console logging that encrypted content, just to show that that is at least working. So when I hit send survey, you'll see right over here in the console, we have a begin PGP message. That tells me, oh cool, it's working. Now for some reason when I hit send survey, it's not adding it to the email campaigns, but at least we have something to work with. So just to show that this has properly encrypted it, I'm just going to copy what we have here. Then imagine this Gmail account was SendGrid, which is what I'm using to send the emails. Send this off to. And then these zeros shouldn't be here. Ooh, whoops. That's too bad. Well, actually, that might be a good thing if, in case you're at all paranoid, the government can't be watching you in that small amount of time. Actually, yeah, that's actually part of the other inspiration for this. I myself am a little bit paranoid, so I've been trying to move all my communications to as many encrypted channels as possible. And you might think, oh, you must have something to hide. Well, the truth of the matter is, we all have something to hide. Privacy is what allows us to share. Privacy is what allows us to share what we want to the world on our own terms, while allowing the other side of ourselves that we're experimenting to be in an experimental stage before we want to share such things. Once I get this working, we won't have to do this little manual entry, but this is mostly just proof of concept. All right, I'm just going to hit send. Then on ProtonMail, it should automatically decrypt that for me, and we'll see this exact input over there. And, oh, okay, that did not decrypt that.
I think you had an extra space on the second to last.
Yeah, that's probably it. Thanks for catching that.
He's a programmer.
But
He's a programmer.
yeah, there we go. Okay, let's try that one more time. try that now. Probably didn't go through. Okay, that was weird. It's working perfectly right before this demonstration. What should happen is this should turn to green, and then this should just say, "Did you like our product? Yes or no?"
Y'all looked at
Did
it.
you show us one from earlier?
Wait, what?
You still have one from earlier?
Yeah, actually I do. Let me just find. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I do have one. Where'd it go? Oh, wait. Here we go. Yes. There's the green star, and this is the exact same input that we saw previously that SendGrid would show us with that encrypted string. Yeah, I must have missed a space somewhere in the manual entry, but otherwise it works that way. Anybody have any questions, or think maybe you might know why it's not sending out the email? 'Cause I've been trying to debug this for 8 hours. Yes?
What JavaScript framework we're using to encrypt again?
OpenPGP.js. And ProtonMail, which is my new personal email that I've used and switched over from Gmail to that Gmail account you use, and that's just purely for development purposes only. ProtonMail is actually one of the main contributors to the OpenPGPjs library and has been keeping it active.
You're sending that from your backend?
Yes, the backend, which I'm using the SendGrid API, that's at least what's sending that string. And I'm just simply, all I want to send over is just an encrypted version of that string, and ProtonMail, which has my private key, will decrypt it for me. Or you can use Mailvelope or FlowCrypt or a few other alternative options. Yep.
Did you show anything on the screen that you don't want me to put on YouTube?
No, actually put it all on YouTube. This I have nothing to hide because I'm trying to trying to bring more privacy preserving practices to regular people as well as us developers. So in addition to working on this feature, other things I do is personal one-on-one cybersecurity consulting. What I mean by that is getting all of our digital hygiene a little bit up to par. Because what I realized is normal folk and as well as we developers, we have really poor practices like having password that is password, or I like cheese or something like that. We have really poor practices. So what I can recommend you all do is if you all have an Android phone, go into settings and check to see if your phone is encrypted. Sometimes it would have done it automatically when you set it up, sometimes not always. A reason you should all do this is because if I steal your phone and I crack open the hard drive and you didn't encrypt it, well, I have all your data. With encryption, I get useless ciphertext. So, and if you have an Apple iPhone, well, you're taken care of if you've already put a passcode and you don't have to do anything extra. And I'm willing to give more tips, and I'm willing to sit down with any one of you for a couple hours to get your digital hygiene up to par, and you won't have to be nearly as paranoid on the internet. Any other questions? I welcome more.
Did you upload? You said you uploaded your private key to ProtonMail or your public key?
No, sorry, just public key.
Okay.
I'm only dealing with the public keys. If you start playing around with your private key, that's a great little
Then
attack.
you use your private key to encrypt it on your local server? Is that how that works? Or?
So I'm the only one who possesses the private key, and because of that, only I can decrypt it.
Okay.
Yeah, this key that you saw right over here, that's my public one. I can give that out too.
And that encrypts it?
Yep, this public key is what allows you to encrypt this massive multi-line string right here.
Okay, and you use the same key to decrypt it? Or?
No, you use a separate private key, which I've not put here.
Okay.
Which is what allows ProtonMail will automatically do that for you, or if you use the classic Mailvelope, Enigmail PJP extension in Thunderbird, that'll also do it for you as well. But I like to use ProtonMail because it's the most user-friendly encrypted email service there is out there. Gmail actually tried to put an extension in their system that'll do the same thing, but they kind of gave up. So hopefully they maybe pick it up again. But the alternative for that, if you're all using Gmail, is check out FlowCrypt. It's another very easy bolt-on extension. Yep.
So once the user gives you their key to send email to them.
Yep.
How do you protect their keys to make sure no one can break in to your?
That case, at least in the case with Facebook, the only thing they ask for is just the public key, not the private key. The public key you can give to anybody, including spies. In theory, you could derive the private key from the public key, but that's going to take until the heat death of the universe with our current computing power to do that. So private key, you only ask for public keys, that's it. And I don't handle any of the decryption. That's purely on the user end for security practice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm probably just behind on all security, so understanding
Hey,
the
I'm willing to
relationship
have-
between public and private is.
Essentially, public is what allows you, it's an asymmetric encryption. So there's asymmetric and symmetric. Symmetric is probably what you're familiar with. When you open up your computer and type in a password, the password is used to encrypt the contents as well as decrypt the contents. And then you probably also have a recovery key somewhere. With asymmetric, you have a public and a private key. Public is what you encrypt with, private is what you decrypt with. Now, technically, you can do either or, and if you do either or, that's called signing, as a little cryptographic introduction. So public, encrypt, decrypt, and then private, decrypt. Any more questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.